Ok, donc bonjour, bienvenue. Aujourd'hui, c'est le vendredi 13 novembre. Friday the 13th, y'all. And I'll repeat this objective, this like larger goal that we have, just to kind of keep it fresh in our minds so that we know, okay, where we're going. Ok, aujourd'hui, on va commencer avec trendy, hein, la tendance, et puis on va voir se présenter, comment se présenter en français, on va réviser un peu, et puis on va se lancer dans la description en français. Hein. I don't know if this gentleman was on your television during the election, but he was on a lot of people's television and he was wearing khakis and people think he's handsome. I'm not convinced, but it's whatever, right? But for some reason, people loved his pants. And apparently Gap is selling about 90% more khakis because of Steve Kornacki. I don't know. So for the warm-up, imagine your clothing choices are mega influential. Imagine you're like an influencer on a massive level, and what you wear shifts what everybody else is going to wear and want to wear. What is a trend you want to start? Like wearing shoes without socks, only wearing blue on Wednesdays. I don't know. So let us know in the chat. What is a trend that you're going to start? Ok, super, ouais, hein, il y avait beaucoup de bonnes réponses. Super réponse. Merci. Super. Ok, passons maintenant en français, se présenter. Ok, donc nous avions ce dialogue et nous avons continué ce dialogue. So we started off with this short one, then we continued it with this other one. And I'll go through and read it for y'all so you can practice pronunciation a little bit. And since we're not all together in a class, you can keep yourself on mute and pronounce different words as I say them if you want. Salut! Salut, je m'appelle Amandine. Et toi? Comment t'appelles-tu? Moi, je m'appelle Saïd. Ah, bonjour Saïd. Ça va? Oui, ça va bien. Et toi? Ça va. Oui, ça va. D'où es-tu, Amandine? Moi? Moi, je suis de Paris. Mais ma famille vient de Marseille. Et toi? D'où es-tu? Moi, je suis de Lille. Mais ma famille vient de Paris. D'accord. Je vois maintenant pourquoi tu as un accent parisien. Okay. So let's do some focused pronunciation work a little bit, all right? So, d'accord. D'accord. And then, salut. Salut. And again, if you bring your lips forward on that, you'll get that good ich sound, right? And the good thing about virtual learning is you don't have to worry about feeling silly because none of you have your cameras on. So 2 people. Thank you for your cameras for the 2 people, but I'm just saying most of y'all. So you don't have to worry about feeling silly because nobody's seeing you. So you can do salut. So you can really practice that, pursing your lips. And then bonjour, you want that nice O shape, okay? Bonjour. 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 And then maybe you want to ask somebody how they're doing. Ça va? Ça va? Ça va? So, ça va? The question, it's rising. Ça va? And then you're answering, it's going to be sinking. Ça va? Ça va? Okay, ça va. Comment t'appelles-tu? Comment t'appelles-tu? Je m'appelle Angèle. Je m'appelle Angèle. D'où es-tu? D'où es-tu? Tu es d'où? Tu es d'où? Ah, je suis de Kenosha. Je viens de Fitchburg. OK. Je viens de, je suis de. Right, so we've got all these great expressions for introducing ourselves and meeting people. And so I think before we go any further, let's go into a breakout room and I'll have you just have a short conversation with each other, okay? Very short. We'll only do about 2, maybe 3 minutes. Again, even if it's just a little bit of practice, every little bit helps. So I know that was quick, right? But I wanna get you all into the habit of, okay, let's get some quick practice in. Ok, passons à la description. Donc, hier, je vous ai demandé de penser à un membre de ta famille. Ok? Pense à un membre de ta famille. Tu as choisi qui? Qui est-ce que tu as choisi? So yesterday, for today, I asked you all to choose a member of your family, a family member, to describe. So who did you choose? Who did you choose? And if you'll put it in the chat, I'd love to see 18 responses in the chat. I'd love to hear from everybody. Who'd you choose? And maybe you remember how to say family members in French. Maybe you don't. We'll review it a little bit. Try to remember it in French. So grandma. Okay, so let's review family vocabulary a little bit. Donc, so I chose this family from Blackish. It's a good show if you haven't seen it. And I'm drawing a blank on her name, but she's a famous actress now. She's like producing stuff. It's really impressive. But this is the family, right? So moi, we're pretending we're her, okay? Moi, ma mère, mon père. Try to pronunciate at home, get that practice in. Ma mère, mon père. Okay. Ma mère, mon père. Et puis, ma sœur, mon frère, je pense que c'est un frère jumeau. Et dans cette série, elle a 3 frères. Elle a 3 frères. Donc, elle a un petit frère et un grand frère. Et puis un frère jumeau, je pense. Okay? Donc, il y a mon frère aîné. Et puis, il y a le plus petit, mon frère cadet. Okay? Mon frère cadet. Okay? Et puis le frère, voilà. So, the most important is the essential, right? Me, mon père, ma mère, mon frère, ma sœur. This is just extra. Mon frère aîné, my eldest brother. So the brother who's the oldest, right? And then mon frère cadet, the youngest, right? And that works for sister too. Just in this show, she just has one sister. So you could say ma sœur aînée, ma sœur cadette, right? Ma sœur cadette. It's just extra. You don't have to know this. Okay. Et puis, mon grand-père, ma grand-mère. Okay. Mon grand-père, ma grande-mère. Okay. Grandpa, grandma. Or grandfather, grandmother. There's a different word for the granny and grampy or whatever, gramps in French. But this is grandfather, mon grand-père, ma grande-mère, grandmother. Okay. Ok, donc maintenant, prenez un instant pour réfléchir un peu et puis je vais vous demander de décrire cette personne. So take a moment to think a little bit about the person you chose and think about how to describe them. And what I'd like you to do is to head over to Canvas. You can go in the calendar. This is the simplest way to find it, I think. La description. This is a mini in-class assignment that I'm going to ask you all to do. Ici, décris un membre de ta famille le mieux possible. Try your best, all right, to describe your family member in French that you chose. Now, this is all, some of this is review, and for some of y'all, it's been a really, really long time. I just want to see what you can do. So really right now, what I'm asking for you to do is to just show me what you can do. Show me your best, all right? So when you've kind of taken it a moment, I'll give you a moment to kind of think, collect your thoughts, maybe write down some notes, right? If you want. And then you're going to go to submit assignment. And it doesn't have to be complicated, all right? So for example, for me, if I was going to do it, I would say, ma mère, elle est intelligente. That's it. So don't do this, you know, use a different adjective, because I guess I just stole that one from you. But it can just be one adjective, all right? You don't have to make it complicated. If you want to do 2 adjectives, awesome. 3 adjectives, I will pass out from sheer joy. I'll just be so thrilled, all right? But at least 1, okay? Show me what you can do. Show me what you can do. And then hit submit. I'm not going to do it because I'm pretending to be a student here. All right. So we're going to take 4 minutes or so to do this. All right. So take a little bit of time to kind of collect your thoughts, think about how you want to describe this person, and then turn it in. Okay, excellent. Merci beaucoup. All right. So now what I want to do is explain a little like kind of mini project that we're going to be doing in class. And then I'll go through and give you some examples of how to describe somebody using myself. And so I call this la banque d'expression. It's like a repository, okay? In French, oftentimes when we're in class, we used packets, right? Unit packets. And I see folks at home sometimes thumbing through their French 1 packet, which is awesome. Having those paper packets doesn't make as much sense to me with virtual learning. And so what I've come up with is this alternative. I don't know if it's perfect, but it works a little bit. And that's like a slides, all right? So if you go to our class in Canvas and you go to modules and you scroll down, in modules, down here, module 1, this is yesterday's slides, this is today's slides. La banque d'expression, right here. So if you go ahead and tap on this and open this file, this one right here, I'm going to ask y'all to go ahead and make a copy of this for yourself. All right, so I'm going to ask you to open the slideshow and make a copy for yourself, and you'll use it like a packet, right? You'll use it like a packet for French, where you're putting words in there that you want to use. You're learning a few new words, and then practice activities. Okay, so we're not going to get, this is going to take us through the end of next week, I think, working on this stuff. So you're not going to get through all of it, right? But use it as like a packet to work on this stuff, to build your vocabulary and to practice using these words. And then I'll ask you to turn it in maybe 2 weeks, just to check in and see if you're keeping up. All right, so real quick, just to walk you through what's going on here. You've got expressions for presenting yourself, for introducing yourself, right? So we've talked about bonjour, au revoir, je suis de. You could include comment t'appelles-tu, right? Things like that. Oh, sad. You've got descriptions, right? Physical descriptors, and I've started you off, but then you could add more and more. And you might even want to duplicate this slide, right? Because we're going to have a lot to work with. And the benefit of this is you can put the ones that you like, right? You can choose like, oh, I'm really interested in having these descriptors, right? Instead of 300 of them, you get to choose the 10 that make the most sense to you, right? Description. And you've got a vocabulary of physical description, so just like details of the face. This isn't so important. I want to make that really, really clear. This is not so important, but I want y'all to have it just in case you want to like focus on describing a specific part of somebody's face, right? It's kind of extra, right? Here are some adjectives. We'll walk through these. All right, that's a long list, but we'll walk through those adjectives. And then here for Tuesday, I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I'll come back to it, okay? But for Tuesday, I'm going to ask you to describe these 2 people. All right, maybe you know Homer Simpson, maybe you know Marceline from Adventure Zone, Adventure Time. I always mix those 2 up. Love them both. Adventure Time, Marceline, all right? You don't have to know who she is though, right? You can just talk about what she looks like. All right. And you can see later on, we're going to do a bunch more stuff, right? It's meant to just be a packet you continually add to. And I'll go ahead and bring it back and ask you to turn it in a couple weeks, all right? Once we've kind of worked through it. Awesome. So that's la banque d'expression. And then I've also given you a link to this slide that I'm going to go through in a moment, la description. And it's a series of slides describing Mr. Hare to kind of demonstrate how to do it. We're not going to get through all of it today, but let's go ahead and start at the beginning. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through these slides describing me, and then I'm going to ask you to look for patterns. And I'm going to see if you can identify, okay, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Voici Monsieur R. Il a 33 ans. Il a 33 ans. Il a un gros nez. Il a des lunettes. Il a les yeux bleus. Il a une barbe. Il a une barbe. Il est grand. Il est grand. Il est intelligent. Il est intelligent. Il est américain. Il est chauve. Il est chauve. Il n'est pas mince. Il n'est pas mince. Okay. So what are some patterns you're seeing? And I'll pause recording if you want to come off mute. All right. Okay, ouais. Il n'est pas mince. He is not skinny. Okay, mince can mean skinny. It can be a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily mean a good thing, right? But il n'est pas mince. He is not skinny, right? Il n'est pas. Go back. Il est chauve. He's bald. Il est américain. He's American. Il est intelligent. He is intelligent. He's smart. Il est grand. He's tall. He has a beard. He has blue eyes. He has glasses, des lunettes. Il a un gros nez. He has a big nose. And again, gros just means big. It can mean fat, right? If you're talking about a person's body. Not super kind, but there you have it. But when you're talking about a face in French, or you're talking about an object that's big, you're going to use gros. So, une grosse barbe. Une grosse barbe. So for her, it's going to be elle a un gros nez. Elle a une grosse barbe. And we'll talk about masculine, feminine on Tuesday. Okay, elle a une grosse barbe, because adjectives change in French, right? Okay, so we've looked at some descriptions. You've got your banque d'expression. Okay, donc pour mardi, complétez les pages 10 et 11 de la banque d'expression, Homer Simpson et Marceline. So what I'd like you to do for Tuesday is to please do these two slides. Oh, 8 and 9? What did I say, 10, 11? Maybe I added some, I don't know, weird. Okay, please do these two slides, okay? And so do your best to describe Homer Simpson. Try to remember some expressions, try to remember some adjectives. Do your best. That's all I can ever ask. And Marceline, you may not know who Marceline is. Maybe you don't watch Adventure Time. That's okay. You can still just describe her, right? And then later on, we'll continue with that. So on Tuesday, yeah, Katra, somebody identified Katra. Yay, Shira. Yeah, gotta watch season 2 and 3. Gotta. So yeah, so on Tuesday, we'll talk more about adjectives and how they work in French. But for this, I just want you to start refreshing your memory a little bit and doing these two, okay? Doing these two slides. I will stick around if there are questions. Otherwise, bon weekend et au revoir.